today. Really very happy that when I look at the whole series of speaker series that we have, it's amazing. I shared this with my industry friends. They're like, oh my God, you guys got an amazing list of speakers, right? Next year we'll have more men. So I hope that some of you could graduate from the program very soon and then come back and help us be our mentors. That's why I call it by a community, building an alumni that like Daniel's back again, but I'm giving Daniel 3 years to come back to be a mentor. Daniel, you get that right? All right. So I'm very happy to roll out this speaker series. Last year we had only like 4 speakers, but this year we decided to go big or go home. So we have a distinguished list of 10 speakers. And if you already know, we added 2 more. Emma's in. 2 more speakers. Sebastian, our chairman for GSIC and Microsoft. And he's sharing a fantastic, I've seen the presentation on sports reimagined. So please make sure you come for that one, and everyone. The other one, we had also invited Neha from Microsoft, talk about AI. What else is not trending but AI, right? Not about NVIDIA stock that's just blasted through the roof, the most valued company on NASDAQ, but AI and applications in the sports industry. So those 2 sessions, I think, obviously we need to push it forward, right? So that's the start of our speaker series, but I shan't take any more time. So for these 2 sessions today, they are actually quite closely related. Vickie will talk more about personal branding, and then later on Chrissie will talk about storytelling, right? So in the end of it, we'll have a short also online survey for all of you. So I think let's start. Vickie, over to you, and I shall just zip my mouth.
Thank you so much, Peggy. It's such a pleasure to be part of this program for the 2nd year in a row. My name is Vickie Saunders. I run a company called The Brand Builders, and I'm based in Australia. But I would say Singapore is kind of like a second home to me. I've spent a lot of time there in my working life and also in my childhood. My dad kind of grew up in Singapore, actually. His dad used to be the port master of Singapore. And a lot of the area, that land that's been reclaimed and now has buildings and stuff, that used to be the port, and my granddad was the master. So there you go. That was back in, I think, the 50s. So I am super excited to be running this session tonight. We are going to be looking at how your personal brand can be leveraged and activated and communicated in ways that are going to support what you're trying to achieve in your professional journey. So everybody has a brand. Everybody has one, whether or not they're in control of it and aware of it at this point. And I'm going to be sharing with you some really simple and practical ways that you can identify what it is and start to put it to work for you. So the title of this session is Amplifying Visibility for Leaders. So it's a little kind of abstract, but that's really what it's about. It's about bringing out the important aspects of who you are and putting them into action in ways that are going to help you achieve all of those things that you're working really hard for. Some of you may or may not identify as a leader. If you're in this, I was going to say in this room, if you're in this webinar or you're watching the recording and you're not sure if you're a leader, I would encourage you to be curious about that. Maybe you already do identify as a leader, and that's great. But I'll just quickly touch on, I guess, some different types of leaders. You might be the leader of an organization through your role. You could be in a management role or a senior role, some role where you're maybe managing other people or in charge of a department, or you're in charge of a project. So you're taking that leadership role. You may have the title to go with it or not. You could be the founder of a startup, or you could be an entrepreneur. You're leading something, you're taking charge, you're going out on a quest, on a journey, that you're at the front of that quest. Or it could be that you're a thought leader. You're someone who has a particular passion and expertise, some knowledge, and you're bringing that knowledge to the forefront, or you're wanting to. So thought leadership is also a really important thing. You don't need the title. You don't need the startup or the business to be, at the helm of it. Your thoughts translated into actions and communicated also make you a leader. So I have some help going through the slides. We had a little bit of techie issues. So thank you. My slide assistant will be progressing through the slides. And I'm also going to be just popping a couple of notes in the chat. You'll be amazed at how I can talk and talk at the same time. It's quite a talent. Because I need to get some things ready because I can't actually share things from my screen. So excuse any clunkiness. Hopefully it will only be a couple of seconds here and there and we can really get stuck into things. I want today to be really active and involved. The last time we did this session, I taught for an hour, and this time we're going to be doing activities, and I think that's a much better way to learn. And the incredible Peggy, who's just genius upon genius, keeps just sharing these ideas and thoughts with me, and they're always really good. They're not always the easiest things because it usually means I've got to slightly adjust, but it's always for the better. So thank you, Peggy. Thank you so much. We are going to be looking at how you can identify your personal brand and elevate the things that matter. You don't need to be putting all of yourself out there all of the time to build your brand, and you don't need to be a media darling or a social media, junkie to get your brand out there. There's some beautiful, elegant, enjoyable, meaningful ways that we can communicate the things that matter about who we are in line with the goals and objectives that we're working towards. I'll very, very briefly touch on the concept of telling your story, and then I'll leave you in the very capable hands of Joanna, who will teach you how to do that. And then we're going to get stuck into some very practical plans, templated plans that you can choose from to activate and communicate your brand for particular outcomes. So it's a very practical session. I have been working in this space for close to 11 years now, predominantly with athletes. I get to work with athletes almost every single day, and I have done for all of that time, teaching them how to build their brands, how to communicate their brands for certain outcomes, such as sponsorship, or carrying a message, or being an ambassador, or pursuing a career in parallel with sport, or transitioning out of sport into a career. And most of it is done with groups. I don't get to do a lot of one-on-one mentoring because, as you may or may not know, non-professional sport, elite amateur sport, doesn't usually have a huge amount of funding. So over the years, me and my team have had to develop these, one-size-fits-all approach to education, which means lots of templates, lots of generic processes that unpack the uniqueness. And for each of you, your uniqueness is what we're going to be exploring and unpacking today. And your uniqueness, as weird and wonderful and wild and everything that you are, that's what makes your brand special. And that's what I'd really encourage you to embrace throughout this. You don't need to be somebody else. You don't need to become somebody else. Your fabulous self as you are, who you are, as we reveal that and bring that to life and illuminate it, that's enough. In fact, it's fantastic and it's perfect for you. It will always guide you in the right direction, and it will give you satisfaction and growth as you follow the path in the way that's true to yourself, because you're staying in line with who you are and not trying to create a facade. I think for a lot of us, when we do start a business or a new initiative, or we're trying to grow in our career, we look to other people for inspiration. And I think that's important. We've got to do our own version of it. If you decide that you're going to, you're an entrepreneur and you're going to create a new startup, and you start, wearing the black skivvy like Steve Jobs because that's what he did, and you don't wear any other clothes because that's what he did, and you try to do things like somebody else did them, it's probably not going to work. It's not going to be authentic, and it's not going to be sustainable. So at this very start point, trust that who you are is absolutely perfect. We just get to shape it. We just get to start controlling the narrative a little bit more now when we start to identify who we are. So I'm going to be calling on Daniel to share in just a moment. This is the perfect slide, actually. Daniel, you joined in this session last year, and I am now lucky enough to be your mentor. And I'm curious to know, and I'm hopeful, so please say good things. No, I'm curious to know how this process played out for you. Did it reveal anything? Was it something that you were then able to apply in your journey as the leader of a business, of a growing business?
Yeah, thank you, Vickie. I would say, I mean, from the last year to this year, of course, a lot has happened in our startup development journey, and especially getting ready for mass production, getting all the developments taken care of for the international expansion. When encountering a lot of the investors on the road, branding and establishing a brand is one of the key topics that has been mentioned as one of the next construction areas for us. So I was on one side, I was very happy that I already had the templates and some initial input from last year's session. And that was for that reason, of course, it was also one of the major decision makers to dive deeper into that topic, since that is something that we, I would say falsely so, neglected for quite a while being so busy in the development period of our company.
Yeah.
But yeah, at this point, of course, really looking forward to get it further done correctly. And one aspect which ties in maybe nicely that investors usually tell us also in the early rounds is, especially as a founder yourself, you got to go to the forefront and so to speak, set the tone for what the brand shall look like in the future. And I'm excited to learn more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you ever listen to someone like Lerone Glickman, who's one of the other mentors, and I think Joanna, when she's doing some mentoring with you as well, she will say that they will both say that telling your story and telling stories are such an important way to connect with investors, because of course they're investing in your brilliant idea, but it's also they're investing in you and they're going to have a relationship with you. And I think we as people do need to create those human connections amidst all of the work and the commercial stuff that's going on. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you joined us again. So we'll jump to the next slide. And this is the process that I'm going to take you through overall. So what we'll do, and when it gets to the templates a little bit later, you'll be identifying a goal. So what's something that you want to do with your brand that aligns with your business goals or your career goals? Are you wanting to grow your profile? Are you going to do some public speaking? Do you need to carry a message of some sort? So we'll identify a goal, and then you'd select one of the action plans that we give you, you've got as a resource. You'll then create the content within that, and then you'll start to put that into action. So it's a really nice, simple process that you can repeat over and over with different elements of your brand, different goals that you've got, and so on. We'll revisit this slide again towards the end. Next slide, please. Could we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. And the next one. Great. We're going to get stuck straight into an activity here, which Ariel at a moment is going to share one of the worksheets on the screen, which is the brand elements worksheet. And I'm going to get you guys to step out of your comfort zone for a hot minute, which is my new favorite saying. I spent some time in the States recently, and they always say like just a hot minute. And I'm like, oh, I like that. I'll take that. So in a hot minute, sorry to put the pressure on you, Ariel, but she's going to share a template, which we are all going to go through and really quickly identify our brand elements. It's something you can come back to later. Don't worry. But I want you just to get used to the idea of doing something quickly, lightly, and without the pressure of getting it perfect, because there is no such thing as perfect. It's really about doing things in a way that you're kind of being guided by your instincts and you're just being honest with yourself. And things can change in time. You might come back and revisit these brand elements in, 6 months and they could be different. But by going through it quickly, it just allows us to progress in this journey and to come up with some really good and interesting content. Now, I am going to have to share, I think, that template again with you, Ariel, because that's not what I'm looking for. So just forgive me for a minute and I'll get that to you. Okay, so it's a Word document that we'll be sharing. And I've just sent that, so let's see. Here's an example though. So this is what we're going to be looking at in a minute as a template. And you guys all already have the templates. So we'll look at the elements of your brand, your skills, and you'll be filling in the sentences. So adding to it the things that are true for you. So your greatest skills, your expertise, what are you really an expert in? What stands out for you? And it may not be your qualification. It may be a different version of that. Like I'm someone who's got a marketing and proposal writing background. My expertise is in helping people see their value and how to connect with the opportunities around them. There's no qualification for that, but that's what I do. That's my thing. That's like my special sauce. We're going to then look at your passion. So what's the thing that really, or the things that really fire you up and excite you? Sorry, I'm just going to wait. There we go. We got it. This is exciting. Thank you, Ariel. I really put you on the spot then, didn't I? So if you could scroll down so we can just see those different brand elements. Right. Fantastic. Thank you. That's perfect. Let's do this activity. Enough of me talking. What I would like you all to do, let's use the chat. Let's really put ourselves out there. I would like you just really quickly, like I'm going to give you a minute for each one, maybe 2 minutes if I'm feeling generous. I think a minute's enough. Just lightly, because you're going to do this exercise after this session anyway. So don't worry. There's no getting this perfect or failing. I just want you to go through the processing and get a sense of it. Pop down 2 or 3 of your greatest skills in the chat and hit send. And we're just going to go through this and I want to have a look at what comes through and what people are saying. So I'm going to put mine in first. Let's all go. Right. And just as you've written yours, have a look through at some of the others. Some great stuff here. I'll just give you another minute for this. Fantastic. Okay. 30 seconds more. So I think Rebecca has politely edited her get stuff done. I had that conversation with someone I was mentoring today and she said, get SHIT done. I'm like, yeah, is there another way that we can put that? Because she wanted to put it on her website. I'm like, yeah, I think there's maybe another way. But get stuff done. That's nice. Okay. Feel free to keep going. I'm just going to jump in and have a chat with, let me see, whose one kind of got me curious? Olufemi. And I apologize if I haven't pronounced your name properly. I'd love to have a chat with you. I'm really interested in what you've written. Where are you? Let me see. Would you mind putting your camera and microphone on, please?
Yeah.
Hello, how are you? Sorry, I'm
Thank you,
late.
Vickie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm
Good.
good. I'm great. So I'm curious, your message in the chat is, where is it gone? Let me just find it. Sorry. Solution-driven business developer, intuitive and creative. So I think that's a really nice thing. How do you find that intuition plays out in your role, in your work?
So it helps me to always look out for the best way to want to approach a situation. I read a lot, and this is part of the intuitive things that comes to me, and it helps me to explore different subject matter, which helps to relate with a lot of diverse people. And there's this general saying that people, you first sell yourself before people buy you.
Yeah. It's great because I think that adds such a human element. Like we can have skills that we've learned and expertise and knowledge, but that intuition really brings the human element and allows us to connect, I think, more emotionally with the work that we do. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. Great. Thank you. Okay, cool. So I think nearly everybody's written down their things. Excellent. Okay. So the next one. I am an expert on or an expert in, and I want one thing. What is the thing? Like, what's your special sauce? Are you great at connecting people? Are you amazing at problem solving? Or, what's your thing? What's your thing that stands you apart? Oh, Peggy, snap. Yes, expert on connecting the dots. Yeah. I'm loving seeing all these comments. Don't overthink it. I think you know this stuff. I'm not saying there's not more. There's probably more that you can unpack, but you know this stuff. Trust your intuition. You know what you're good at. People have probably told you, or you've sensed it, you've felt it. Fantastic. Just another 30 seconds on this one. Okay, fantastic. Rebecca, I'd just love to have a quick chat with you about yours. I think that's really powerful. Seeing good in people and opportunity.
Hi.
Hi,
Yeah,
how are
can
you?
you? I'm good. My children are running around in the background, so sorry if you hear them not being good. Um, so yeah, I feel like in the world that I work in every day is very much social impact and the people end of projects and business. So I always try and make sure there's, seeing the good in every single person, but also with any project that I get involved in is making sure there's some sort of, positive impact on people's lives, or it's not always about, the making the money or, the whole process for me has got to be about, changing a life or doing good. And I feel like I can see these opportunities as and when they arise, but also with with that kind of element, I guess, of expertise is also identifying when there's not an opportunity for something to be doing good and saying no to it. Because otherwise it doesn't kind of fulfill me. And it isn't where my expertise is. So I'm quite happy to say no to something because it's not doing good, and that's where I can't add value.
That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I sort of had a feeling it was something along those lines, but I thought I just need to unpack it with you. So it sounds like there's a level of also, so there's that social responsibility aspect, but I think there's a level of personal sustainability. If it doesn't fulfill you, it might drain you. It might take your energy in a place that isn't good for you and is taking you away from doing good work somewhere else. And I think as someone who's been, the founder of a business and runs a business now, like we really need to treasure our own energy and our own time. And thank you. That was wonderful. This is great. I feel like there's just so much wisdom in this room. Okay, great. Thank you. So the next one we're going to have a look at is your passion. Now, this could be related to your work, but it may be something more personal. Could be bigger picture. It could be very small. It could be you're very passionate. I'm very passionate about human rights. Some people are very passionate about nutrition. So, it's what matters to you. It's either what fires you up or, like it gets you really like, or it really, sets your world on fire, like it excites you. So it's either something you really love and you want more of, or it's something you're really, fired up about and you want to change. Great. So now a minute on this one. I think you'll know this. Don't worry about getting the words perfect. Don't worry if it doesn't sound right. Like if it's a bit clunky, that's okay. Just the essence of it. Just another 30 seconds on this one. So I can see some people haven't written anything yet. That's okay. There's no pressure. If you're having any trouble,
sorry, Vickie.
We're just
I
using,
am.
Yeah, that's okay. We're just using the chat. So you'll need to look in the menu across the top, hopefully, and find it. Yes. Okay. I'm not.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
just,
not.
my first time on Teams.
That's okay. That's all right. Well, I might get you to share in a second. If you want to share your passion, Juliana, we'll just let everyone finish and then I'll get you to share.
Fantastic.
Beautiful. Okay. So feel free to keep typing if you haven't got yours in just yet, but I am going to go to Juliana and ask her to share. So as I said before, we're identifying our brand elements. So this is your brand. Isn't it funny? It doesn't, if no one's done, if you haven't done this before, it might feel like a really strange process because it's like, oh, how is this my brand? Trust me, it's part of the process. We've got to unpack it before we put it all back together. So, Juliana, what's your passion?
So my passion is definitely helping unprivileged athletes build a successful career through sports. Not many people think about the athlete's career themselves itself. They might think about the athlete's nutrition, the athlete's mindset, the athlete's performance, but what about their actually career? What are they doing now to be successful after sports or during sports? So then when they finish sports, they would have a financial support, they would have a better community around them, a place where they feel like they can actually thrive. Because some athletes, they finish their career and they feel lost. They don't know exactly where to go, like the fire actually is shut off and no one has, no many people are there to help them or guide them, in the next step. So I'm really passionate about that.
Perfect. And as a former elite athlete, I think you're the perfect person to do that as well. So thank you. And it's wonderful. Your passion may or may not be what you do as your profession. It may go alongside it. So it may not be the thing that you earn money from, but it may be. Daniel, one of his passions is water. I saw that. Well, his business is also related to water. So, he's able to weave that into his business. But for others, it may be something that's alongside it. So for me, human rights is my passion. I weave it into the work that I do, but it's certainly not what I do for a living, but it's always there. So, it'll be really interesting to see you guys when you do start doing the action plans and storytelling, how this stuff finds its way out into the light and to be seen and heard by people. Now, leading on to the next one, which is your image. How would you like to be seen by people? If people meet you for the first time and then you leave the room and they say to the person next to them, gee, wasn't she this or that? Or wasn't he a really blah, 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 blah person? And this isn't about impressing people. This isn't about being a goody two-shoes. This is about really, how would you like people to see you? How would you like them to describe you? I know when I was younger, I know this for a fact, as a younger woman, if someone had said she's really nice, I would have been offended. The word beautiful or pretty or something should have been in there. Now, if anything about my appearance came up, I'd be like, wow, I failed. Like if that's all they got from the conversation with me. Also, that's not a problem as I'm getting older. But anyway, so let's think about what is the impact that your presence, your participation, your visibility would make on somebody else. What would you like them to say about you? We'll just go another minute. Okay, great. So I'm going to go to Mona now. I'd love to have a chat with you about your image, how you'd like to be seen. Caring, interesting, empathizer. Do you feel like you're giving this out to the world already? This is the brand element that you're communicating, that you're caring and interesting and an empathizer?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think this is born from, I mean, I've lived in so many countries and even from a little girl all the way up to now. And in doing so, you constantly have to adapt. Right? You constantly have to adapt and equally, sometimes you're bullied. I mean, I remember being bullied as a kid and changing so many schools, but that's where I think it forms you as an adult. I mean, your experiences, obviously, that the challenges that you go through life. And so I've learned that, you know, if I just listen and if I show some empathy, then I learn as well, and how to adapt to a certain culture, adapt to a certain work situation, a new country, a new job. And so I feel that that's something that has kind of become one of my trademarks is and has helped me through even professional situations and created my skill set in project management and all that. So it's really, you know, I feel that you know, it helps through life to be caring and to be empathetic and to listen. So yeah.
There is so much power in what you've just said, which is kind of surprising when you look at what you've written, which is caring, interesting, empathizer. You know, a lot of people in their professional roles want to be seen as knowledgeable, hardworking, trustworthy, approachable, you know, like proving something. But through it's kind of a survival, you know, strategy that you've come up with. It's actually the opposite. It's like, I'm empathetic and I'm caring. You've taken that more gentle sort of approach to it, which I think is really powerful. And the fact that you've identified how you want to be perceived and you've taken charge of that narrative in a way that works for you, I think is incredibly powerful. Some people may not have needed to have a think about that to this point. They may not have really had to think, well, how am I being perceived? You know, if I'm not getting the results that I want, perhaps, or maybe not making the connections that I want when I go to networking events, and they maybe need to step back and reflect because it's, but I think you had to do that at quite a young age. So yeah, it's really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I relate to that. I traveled a lot when I was a little kid, and I'm really good at making friends, but long-term relationships, oh, they're hard. It's like, oh, you're still here. You're still gonna be friends with me. Oh, I want the new one. We'll talk sometime. God, this does feel like a therapy session, Joanna. You wrote that. You're like, this feels like therapy session. It does. Let's just hang out every Friday night. Who needs to go out and drink and have fun like that? This is where it's at. Okay, so for the sake of time, because you've got another wonderful session with Joanna straight after this, I'm going to skip the last two, but I really want you to do that in your own time, please, to keep, identifying your brand elements. So the last two are your personal values. I'd encourage you to try and keep it to 3. You might find that you come up with a lot of values and you can then kind of group them together or find an umbrella word that kind of suits them. It's very rare that you're going to be communicating your values by those words. It's more likely that they'll be influencing, what you do or the kind of things that you say. It's not often that you'll say, these are my 3 values. So don't get too hung up on the word. It's the essence. A lot of this is the essence. It'll make more sense when we go. Oh, sorry, Chrissy's the next session. Sorry, I thought it was Joanna. Yeah, so the activity that we're about to do starts to bring these brand elements to life, and you'll see why it's fine to rush through this. And the last element there is carrying your message. So basically, if everybody was listening, or a certain group of people that you really want to hear what you've got to say, what would your message be? it could be to the world, it could be to kids, it could be to people in a certain part of the world or a certain kind of socio group. My message to the world is, well, I don't really know what it is at the moment. It's kind of developing, but it's really about if you find happiness in yourself, you'll be less worried about what other people are doing. I haven't quite got the words for it, but I know what it is. So these things change over time, but just have a go at identifying that. So let's move on now. I'd like us to have a look at the next slide. The one after this one. Okay, here we go. The one before. Okay, great. That's it. Thank you. So now that you've started identifying your brand elements, we're going to look at some ways that you can bring them to life. Now, as a leader, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, as an employer, whatever the situation may be, there is huge benefit in you promoting yourself, of putting your voice out there, of amplifying the volume, of elevating your visibility, of illuminating what you know and what you do and the path that you're walking on. The idea of it for a lot of people is really quite not necessarily scary, but a bit icky. The idea that you're that person saying great things about themselves on social media or doing, self-promoting posts on LinkedIn and big noting yourself. And I agree with you. I don't think that's what we need to do. And I don't think that that really benefits many people. For some, it works and they attract, like attracts like. The most important thing in all of this is that you are communicating your brand in ways that matter and that ways you enjoy doing, or it won't be sustainable, it won't be meaningful, it won't be authentic. And I've got the sense from what you've told me already in the chat that you're all pretty decent people. You're all pretty, wanting to do good things in the world and do them in good ways. And, we're all allowed to earn money. We're allowed to commercialize this stuff. But gee, if we can do good as well, we're really, I think, a bunch of authentic people. So I want to encourage you to explore this concept of self-promotion, of doing it in a way that works for you and finding the reasons, not just those business goals or professional goals that you might have, which in a minute we're going to look at in terms of those action plans that I'm going to give you, but looking deeper and looking a bit broader. If you amplify your message, if you carry a message that matters, if you promote yourself and you build your business or you grow your profile so that you get a promotion at work, all those different impacts, it's good for you. It's good for yourself, for your personal development and to achieve the things in life that you want and need. But it's also good for the world. I am a huge believer that we can, and someone wrote it before, I can't remember who it was, I'm so sorry, but about can we also look for those positive opportunities alongside the work that we're doing. And I always believe that we can. And if we don't, if we say, look, I'm just going to quietly go about my work, I might be doing something really great for the environment, or I might have a really cool product that I'm developing that helps people be healthier. But I don't want to be in the limelight. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't want to look like I'm promoting myself. So I'll just quietly go about that. And, hopefully the things that I'm working towards will kind of happen, but, happen through the work that I'm doing quietly. The thing is, when you hold yourself back and you don't put yourself out there, you do miss out on opportunities, and you may miss out on opportunities to help other people. If you've got a message to carry, values to communicate, passion to share and pursue, that has the potential to help one person or 10 people or 1,000 people. So if you hold yourself back, you may be holding back from helping someone. So there's a lot of people that can benefit from what you do. Illuminating the path for others is a really big one. If you're a person of color, if you're a minority group, if you're a woman, if you're, you know, you could be all of those things working in sports tech, you know, there's a lot of people behind you and around you that don't know that pathway, and you can illuminate for them what their future can be. You can show them that it's possible. So I think this is a really important thing for you to maybe grapple with. If the next part of this presentation makes you feel uncomfortable and you think, I don't want to put myself out there, it's not just about you. That's what I want to say. You have the potential to do amazing things in the world. So we'll go to the next slide now, and let's have a look at those action plans. So you will have a template for each of these goals. And I believe that as someone who's either trying to develop their career or promote a business or start a business, you know, become known as an entrepreneur, these 5 action plans are going to help you. You don't need to do all of them at the same time. You can do one, then the next, and so on. Just choose the ones that work for you. And I'll just quickly take you through them. So the first one is promoting yourself as a speaker. And you might be using speaking as a medium for growing your business or promoting your business or something else, or carrying a message. This is about this action plan will be about raising your profile and creating compelling content, providing evidence of your skills and experience as a speaker to attract more work. So it's very practical. But again, it's not necessarily about wanting to become a keynote speaker, but just using speaking as that medium. The next one is about growing your network, building a great network to help you connect with your peers, build great relationships, and connect with opportunity. I'm a huge fan of networking, but of doing it in your way. Not everybody can go to an event and have 20 conversations with 20 people. I have a conversation with about 2 or 3 people, and I need to go home and have a cup of tea. I am an introvert extrovert, and I find it exhausting. I love people, but not all of them at the same time. So networking for me, I often do on LinkedIn, and I'll meet up with people. We'll go back to the other slide. Could we go back to the other slide, please? Let's see. Maybe we're not able to. Peggy, you remember this video, don't you? Are we having technical issues? I just wanted to go back to the previous slide if possible, please. There we go. Thank you. The next one is carrying a message. So if there's something, again, this could be that you're trying to promote your business and the message is around, I'm just going to go with you, Daniel, because it's easy and I'm probably going to say it wrong, but, you know, people should drink more water, but not just any type of water. There's water, and then there's water that's really good for you, which Daniel is producing. So, or it could be a message that you're really passionate about. So these all tie in. You'll figure out which action plans are going to help you with whatever you're trying to do in your business journey. The other one is raising your profile. So this is literally just becoming known for something. You want to be known as that person. You want to be known for a particular expertise or whatever it might be. This is specifically about raising your profile, not just growing a network, but being known for something and taking charge of that narrative. And then the final one is promoting your business. So really promoting your professional services to attract more clients and establish a great reputation. So as I said, like one thing that in my company we've done over the years is creating very generic templates for very specific outcomes and to harness the uniqueness of the people that use the templates. So as we go into these, I'm going to get one person to be my guinea pig, and we'll go through one of the action plans together. So we've got, I think we started at 5:05. So if I've got till 6:05, that would be amazing. I can rush through it. So, Ariel, do you have access to all of the worksheets, or will I need to email them to you again? Just
Nope, I have them all.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to choose someone to be my case study, and then they're going to choose which of these action plans they'd like to use, and we're going to go through it together really quickly. So who will I choose? I think I'll just go back to the chat and just choose someone who I can see that was quite active in there.
Can I
Okay.
jump in here?
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Hello? Am I allowed to jump in here and ask a question?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the presentation so far. And I'm just looking at the action plans. For me, they have a sense of carrying everything at the same time. It is not a one-or situation. I don't know if that is a right way to look at them. I think I want to amplify I must promote myself, I must grow my network, I must carry a message, because that's what I will be communicating with the network, which will then raise my profile, and then my business will be better. I don't know if that
Correct.
assertion is right. That
Yeah.
they
So yeah.
are all in one.
Yeah, except we can't do everything at once. So you're right. Yes, the idea is that we do start to add and weave these and add them in. But I'm such a process-driven person. I like to separate things and allow people to just focus on one at a time, and they can add, you can add as you go along. So you get to choose, for some people, they might be 100% focused on growing their business and that's all they're doing. So yes, they might quite quickly add these all together. For others, it could be a side hustle or a part-time thing. They've got another job. So this allows people to pick up as much as they can handle at any one time and not feel overwhelmed and be able to focus on one thing and then add to it. But you're absolutely right that there's a reason that there's the 5 of them, because together they're kind of all you need to be doing as brand communication if you're you're putting them all together. So yeah, good observation. So I might just go with Peggy. I'm just going to go with you if that's okay. Have you been doing the activities? Okay. Because you're someone who I think's got a really powerful brand, and I'm just curious to see behind the curtains of it. So if you were going to choose one of these things and start doing it soon, which of these action plans might be of interest to you?
I think probably raise your profile.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm still trying to see how deep I can go. Like what Olafemi just said. There is beauty in saying that I can do 4 at the same time. Like I can promote myself as a speaker, I can grow my network, because as I speak, I'm growing my network and I have a clear message. So they're all interrelated, right? However, sometimes there's also that beauty in going deep. So it's a T-shape, right? You can go broad or you go deep. So right now, I think I'm still trying to go deep. So for those of you who know me, you've been very fortunate. For those who haven't, well, you will get to know me. I'm just joking, right? So I think I'm known in a way that I can speak, hopefully, sometimes, and I do make. Someone said last week that I can be a good stand-up comedian, and I take great pride in that. Sometimes I think I'm also like a good leadership developer, because I like to do L&OD. Sometimes I'm also raising visibility for women and girls and youth and sports. So I'm trying to see exactly which profile should I zoom on.
Yeah,
so that is
right.
my personal challenge now, right?
Let's have a go at doing that. Let's have a little go. We've only got a few minutes.
Sure.
So let's just have a go at going through this template. So the
Sure.
first thing we're going to, so this is to raise your profile. For each of these action plans, it's got the heading and then a little description underneath.
Yeah.
So we're going to choose 1 to 3 of your brand elements that you want to communicate in this raising your profile. So what do you want to be known for? It could be your passion, your skills, your image, you want to be seen a certain way. So you've just said, like, there's so much going on that you could be known for.
Yep.
Could you have a look at your brand elements and see which 1 to 3 of those paint the picture of how you want to be seen? And I'm going to rush you through it just because we've only got a few minutes, but you can go back to this in more detail later.
So I actually are looking at my LinkedIn, which I kind of rewrote it a few weeks ago. So I would like to be known for my values, which is 3 things. Living my passion or living your passion. Second one, pursuit of excellence. Juliana, you hit it on the nail. Athletes, go big or go home, right? You got to push yourself all the way and push your limits and the stuff. And third one, collaborating for X impact. So these are my 3 values that I think I want to, prepare to communicate about myself.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then if we scroll down just a little bit, stop there. The second bit. So I know the next session today is storytelling, if I'm correct.
Yep.
So using the process that you're going to learn in that session, create a story for each of those brand elements. So collaboration or whatever the different values are, bring those to life in a story.
Yeah,
now,
go ahead. Yep. Yes, Vickie.
Oh, sorry.
No.
And then the next bit is, this is an action plan. This is not a content plan. This is an action plan. So it's a really nice little quick activity you can do to give yourself a set of actions to follow through with. One of those is creating your stories, and then selecting the platforms and places that you want to communicate your profile for a particular audience, or, so I think you said LinkedIn. You might go through here and just tick a few things that you think you'd definitely like to do and leave the things that you don't want to do. You don't have to do all of these things. So what would you say, just looking at those sort of 12 platforms and places, would maybe stand out? Maybe like choose 3 or 4.
Yeah. Vickie could ask, when you say create a story, it has to be a authentic story that I've experienced, or do I just want to ask? So I just said it. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's something you'll go through with Chrissie. But it's really like, why is that your value, or what's an example of that value in your journey? So if it's collaboration, you can talk about the work that you do with other organizations.
So that's a good point. So I guess for all of us here, right? So just to recap, so I've chosen my values, which is 1 is living a passion, 2 is the pursuit of excellence, 3 is collaborating for X impact. So if I would use a story, I could use my story that I put together initiative like a couple years ago with Specs Business, and Vickie, you were there, how we grew that network of companies to impact the athletes. So there's a story.
Exactly.
Where would I share? Normally I'm not that young as Juliana, so I'm very old. So I'll probably use LinkedIn. Blog. I haven't really tried a blog before because just didn't try it. I don't really do Facebook now. If I had a chance, recently I just had an interview with one of the people, so a media interview maybe, and public speaking. I always try to do that. When I speak, I try to go back to my values. That's what I would choose. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I think LinkedIn's really powerful. Like, rather than a blog, you might do a LinkedIn article, because then you still get to write and you can share it on your LinkedIn, and you can even email it to people and they can go and have a look on your LinkedIn. So it's a nice way of creating your own content, like a portfolio of this stuff. And you might come up with lots of stories. It doesn't just have to be one story, but like I was saying before, this is about being practical steps that are not overwhelming for anyone, and we do one thing at a time and we can add. So fantastic. And then down the bottom of each of these templates, so each of the action plans also has some tips. So if we could just scroll down, so it'll be things like talking about, for this one, having your own website, what the benefits are if you're trying to grow your profile, attending events and getting used to networking, putting your hand up for things and getting involved in activities and events that connect you with your target audience. So this is just, again, just some really practical and simple stuff that you can start to implement. It's not a strategic plan, it's an action plan. And it starts to plant the seeds, and you'll start to, it will start to sprout and grow over time. And it may be that you just plant one row of seeds and you focus on that. And then next season, you harvest that and you start planting the next row of seeds. So you get to do this in your own way. And I'm really hoping that for everyone that's in the session or watching the recording, that you can go through and identify your brand elements. And you can go through this process of choosing one of the action plans and having a go at it. This isn't complicated stuff. And in fact, brand building isn't complicated. It can be. We can complicate it, but it doesn't need to be. It can be
Vickie,
really
maybe
simple.
I'd like to share quickly.
Please.
That I haven't been very active in LinkedIn until about a year ago. So it was a conscious effort. Singaporeans love Facebook. Don't ask me, we are old school, right? No, but younger ones like Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok and stuff like that. So so just to encourage all of you, it's not that difficult. Where you post on LinkedIn what you're involved with in your work or your passion. And then I realized that what I haven't done and I want to do better is, if I'm passionate about collaboration, I should read a bit more on articles or research on that area and then post my views and thoughts, right? That's how you can tell people that you do read and you do know. So I haven't done that on my personal level, and I like to do it. So all of you out there, it's not difficult. Now I have about 500 over friends. I don't, whatever this networks, right? But it just grow. And I think once you start doing it, it's actually there. So yeah, so it's like what Vickie said, you take step by step and it's going to happen. We can all do it together.
So that's the end of my presentation. So thank you so much. I wanted to make it interactive. So I'm sorry it was a little bit rushed, but I'm really glad that we all got to be involved. So thank you.
Thanks, Vickie. Thank you so much. Obviously you see their homework. You don't have to hand up. I'm not going to mark the worksheets, right? It's for you to use it. Like Daniel, he used it last year. I didn't know it until he emailed last week, and I saw, oh my God, what a great thesis he has done by himself.
Yeah.
And that has, no, really, really. And then he came back, right? So yeah. So now I think we'll do a quick online survey at the end. Okay. No, how about the survey? Later, or we will do that later, right? Just to get feedback. All right. Okay. Thanks, Vickie, so much. Lovely. And now hand over to Chrissie. My photo time. Sorry.
Well, hello. What a tough act to follow, huh, Vickie? But everybody must be like really got so much things going on in their heads. I think that I loved what she shared about all the different elements and how there's how you say it, there's a system to the madness, and how all these individual parts actually like come together at the end. And that is so true, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be complicated, just like what she said. It has to be just so simple. And I just wanted to come back to the social media stuff that you were talking about, Peggy. So true, right? So true, right? But Singaporeans just love Facebook, but it's actually our generation that loves Facebook. And I just wanted to add that if you want to start thinking about social media, Facebook is like the reunion. Okay, you go down there, you share pictures of your stuff, you share stories, your kids, your cat, your dog. And then when you start to go into like Instagram, that's like pictures, like picture perfect snapshots. And that's where you can have like footnotes. So think about it as like footnotes and stories, like what happened today. And that's the younger generation. It's like my parents are also on Facebook. So I try to avoid that as well. And I go into LinkedIn. So, but at the end of the day, when you start to think about like what else can you do, TikTok is for the younger generation, where they're trying to avoid their their parents as well. And when you start to think about where you can actually network, it depends on your target audience. It depends on who you're trying to reach. And if it's B2B, definitely LinkedIn. If you're trying to look at B2C, what's the generation that you're going after, right? And then you just go accordingly. But Facebook is also great for advertising, and you're also getting into the place where people are looking. And think about what state you're in. What is the state that you are in when you're in LinkedIn? You're like, I'm going to research. So when you go into Facebook, it's like, oh, let's look at what my friend did over the weekend. And if you are in that state and you're a different person in every social media platform, your audience is also going to be. So think about that and where they are at before you start posting for them as well. So yeah, that's just a wrap up from our previous speaker. Thank you so much, Vickie. That was amazing. I got so much from it as well. I'm actually feeling a little bit under the weather, and that's why I didn't want to go into GSIC today, which I was supposed to. I didn't want to get Ariel sick. So, but please excuse me if I'm a little bit nasal. I'll try my best to be clear. If at any time you can't actually understand me, just raise your hand. Okay, but this is going to be interactive, guys. Don't see that I'm sick and then you take the time to get off or zone out a little bit. I'm going to be very, very strict with this group for now. Okay? We're going to be happening. I want everybody to stretch. You've been sitting down for an hour. Please give me a bit of a stretch. It's a sports mentorship program. If you got no excuse if I'm going to be bringing my A game. Good. I love it. I love it. Okay. Now, I did get a little bit of a warning from Ariel. Let's try to share this beautiful stuff now. Share content, include sound. And okay, can you see this? Yeah, awesome. You can see? What do you see? Do you see my face?
Yes,
Peggy.
not you yet.
We don't see the slides yet. We see a beautiful.
Oh, you
face.
don't see the. Let me see. Use slideshow. Can you see the slides now?
Not yet, Chrissie.
No?
No.
No. Ariel, you think you were right. Is it because I'm a guest? Let me try again.
You should have the permissions, Chrissie, to share it. But if you don't worry. I can always share it up.
This was what we were worried about just now, right? Let me see. As you can tell. No? You don't see it?
Not yet.
Okay, Ariel, just go ahead and do it.
I think we'll share. Don't worry. It has something to do with Mac and Microsoft Teams. Not sure today.
Oh, don't diss my Mac.
Okay, there we go.
My
Look
precious
at that lovely
Mac.
slide.
Okay, now let's go. Okay, so I wish that I could actually do the controls. It's like I need control, but it's okay. I will wing it and I'll just say next. Okay. So okay, let's move on to the next one. And I don't get control, right? Okay, so everybody, today we're here to help you tell your brand story. Now I've actually altered this a little bit from how I usually do this because of the time and also because I've actually connected with Vickie about what she's going to be sharing. So it's going to be positioned from the area of what you need to know about filmmaking and how this actually brings across storytelling. Okay, next please. I'm gonna click it a click. So first of all, I want to talk about what is a pre-frame. Now I'm not gonna actually go too much into this because these slides are all gonna be shared with you after this presentation. And I just wanted to, because this has actually come up, I want to help to rest your beating heart. I'm not here to sell anything. I have nothing to sell. In fact, I stopped this about over a year ago. And I just needed to show you what a pre-frame is and why it is important. And if you stick around until the end, I promise you that I'm going to explain to you why pre-frame is still important. It's not important for me right now because we already had our interview and we already had our introductions last week. And we already know who we are. And I already know who you are, through some of your profiles. But what a pre-frame actually does is it helps to, well, send across some information to prospective clients or like meetings or presentations before the fact. This actually helps to give them a good understanding of who they're going to be talking to. Let's just say for me, if you look at me, I've done some, networking and workshopping with corporate clients before. And when I come in, you're going to look at this and you're going to be like, who is this young Yahoo coming into this? What am I going to do with this? Who is she? What is her accolades? Is she even like good enough to like give me any information that I want to know? And if I send this, and this happened a few times before, if I send them this pre-frame, they'll actually know the story. They'll know what I'm all about. And I can cut short that, that brief moment of self-doubt or doubt in me before we actually begin, and then we can start the meeting like from the get-go. So if you go through it, Ariel, do not mind. So of course you got to tell them who you are. So this is me. This is my story, my accolades, what I've done. The story here is also about like all the things that I've accomplished and what I'm all about. Accolades as well. The special projects that I've been focusing on and the platforms that I'm able to do and projects that I've been working on, which gives me the validation. It gives me a little bit more credentials and of course, social proofing. No, it's okay. You're right, Ariel. Go to the last slide. And of course, this is very important. You're also giving people the testimonials that people in the industry are also at liberty to tell their story of their interaction with me. Now, all this is called the pre-frame. This goes across before and not on the day itself. Now, I'll tell you why it's important at the end of the day. Okay? But today, right now, what we're going to be doing is going to be learning a little bit about what you focus on expands, and what we're talking about is storytelling, right? We're going to talk about how you're going to tell your brand story, what is important about your brand story to tell. I'm just going to give you like templates at the end just in case. So don't worry about taking down too much notes. Just take down the aha moments of things that you think is important for you to, digest. And of course, at the end of it is how to deliver it. So thank you, Ariel. Next slide, please. Most important is consider your audience. Everybody thinks that you're always doing a download. You're telling people. Branding is about sharing your information, but it's not. It's actually a dialogue. It's not a download, it's a dialogue. It's a two-way street. You need to always remember your audience. Agreed? Everybody agreed? Put your hand up. Yes? Yeah? All right. Okay. Because it is not just about your story. Not about what you're saying to them and why it's important to you. It's important to the audience, what it means to them. And when I found this out, I was just like mind blown, because everybody comes across with a different experience, different background, different things that are important to them. This is important that you take note that what the audience hears is not exactly what you say. It is what is important to them that makes up why they're paying attention to you, right? Never before in the history of time has there been more eyeballs on this beautiful screen. But this is the hardest time ever to capture their attention. And it's all boils down to what it means to them, why it is meaningful to them. And I'm going to circle back around to this at the end of the day. So let's talk about branding. Let's talk about personal branding versus the company branding, the startup branding. A lot of us here are confused about what branding is. But branding is basically what you associate the brand with. And this is two major things: the copy and the frequency. What you say and what people feel about you. How they associate with your brand. And it's just that simple, okay? It's just facts and benefits is your copy, what you're saying about the brand. Facts and benefits is what you think is going to be attracting people. However, it is not just about the attractions. It is also about, well, something called VMD, which is values, mission, and vision. Now, all this is intangible stuff, but we're going to make it really, really tangible, because the copy that you create for your brand, and I'm sure that all of you already have a really, really great copy about your to describe what you're saying. It's there to make it really simple for your audience to share it with other people. It's not just for them to understand. The purpose of this copy is to give it to the audience so that they have something simple to share about your brand. So making it as simple as possible, as little words as possible, is very important. Now, what about frequency? How do you make them feel? This is the emotional part of the storytelling. Now, film, I don't care what you think about film, story, journey, everything, the 4-minute mile, it's all about frequency. It's all about what you're feeling. Now, there are different ways to talk about branding. There's also the transformative, there is the impact, and just like what Peggy was saying, the motivational way that we can communicate to our audience. At the end of the day, what is your brand making them feel? Now I'm going to go to the next slide to explain this. Why is emotion important? All right, next please. Emotion is important because this is how we know, like, and trust you. Now, you've already heard this before, I'm sure, right? Everybody heard this? Raise your hand. It's all about how would you get people to buy or follow or like you, is whether they know, like, and trust you. This is not by facts and benefits, guys. It's about the emotional move. It's 70% feeling and 30% telling. Facts and benefits is the 30%, all right? Let me just put it to you in this way. Now, I like to use this as a little bit of a joke. When you start to think about it, you buy with 70% emotion. It's a gut feeling. I know that I need this. What is the difference between these two brands? I go with the brand that I follow. It's a visceral idea. And then you spend the rest of the 30% explaining your credit card bill to your spouse, right? So when you start to think about what makes people buy, what's driving them into action, it comes from the limbic part of the brain, right? Your prefrontal cortex is the language, it's the understanding, it's the logic part of it. And that's only 30%, but that doesn't help you make decisions. Decisions come from the limbic part of the brain, which is the emotions. And that's where you make your decisions, that split second, 30 seconds of first entry, first meeting that makes you understand, okay, this is the person that I can trust. Or there's something off about this person. I don't know what it is. And more often than not, is this energy. This is frequency. It's called emotion. Energy in motion. Next, please. How do you tell your story? Now, this is something else that is quite interesting as well. You show your emotion. You show. You don't tell, right? It's a whopping 93% of showing versus the 7% of telling. Now, this is not the right slides, but it's okay. We'll just go with this one. And this journey of strength and vulnerabilities, of your goals, your promises, your challenges, your victories, your evidence, this is what you show. You don't really show through, let's say, you show through body language. When you're actually with somebody, if I'm telling you that I am a really cool person, you're probably going to think I'm a douchebag. But if I show you that I'm a really cool person by the actions that I do, what are you doing? What is your story doing? You'll feel it straight away, wouldn't you? Right? That's versus show versus tell here. I'm going to explain this a little bit deeper so that you get a better understanding. Next slide, please. In the area of show versus tell, meet Jimmy Nelson, okay? In 2019, he did this collaborative project together with Wonderman Thompson. Now, he went around the world and he took like photographs of tribes that were going extinct, right? Just to document them. And just to raise the awareness of these indigenous cultures, what he and Wonderman actually did was they created this AR experience, excuse me, where it was played on Facebook, where if you turn on the camera and if you watch it, if you blink, the video will stop. If you blink, it means that you would actually, one tribe would finish, one tribe would go extinct. Now, this was really, really interesting because if you didn't notice, the average person actually blinks every 10 to 15 seconds just to wet and moist the eyes. And what he found was the shocking discovery that some of these indigenous tribes were going extinct at the same pace. So he thought, okay, let's let the numbers speak for themselves and let's just try this out. It grew into this huge campaign that is, you know, having multitudes of like knock-on effects up until today. And I'm just not going to tell you any more of it. I just want to show you what I'm talking about with show, don't tell. But it's the story behind it that made it really interesting for you to understand. Okay, go ahead. Staggered. Heart pain. No music. I think it's okay. I'll share you the location of the slide later on, and then at the end of the whole thing, we can play it again. How's that? Is that okay with everyone? We'll just continue with this? Yeah? All right. Let me just get onto the 3X structure. Now, the 3X structure is pretty much what we're already very used to understanding about storytelling and movies, right? You got an intro, you got a conflict, you got a resolution. Now, this is storytelling. It's not the story that you tell, then again. It's about what the customer is hearing. So how do you make this relatable to them? It's through how you actually reveal this to them. When you reveal things in a systematic way, you hit them at points. This train of thought, you hit them at points of when they're actually asking the next question. I think it's also called, it's flow, all right? It's a natural flow of how we actually are inquisitive, we're curious. And that's why I said earlier on that it's really a dialogue. It's not a download, right? But you have to remember that it's like a call to adventure. When you start to think about it, your personal brand story or your company's founder story is all about that inciting incident, that call to adventure, that thing that went wrong earlier in your life, and you found that there was this problem that you really needed to solve. It affected you so much, it was a push to help you to find, well, the intention, the motivation to find a solution for it. So once you start to think about it in that way, wouldn't your target audience be exactly who you are or who you were before you solved that problem? And when you start to think about it that way, you can speak directly to your avatar because it's you in the past. Now you're just revealing the mission, and the vision is revealing how you actually came to this state, how you actually came into fixing your solution, finding a way to get around this problem. You go on to the next one. And your hero's journey is then mapped down to very, very simple things. The call to adventure, the start of your journey, the supreme ordeal, all the different things that you had to overcome to get to the place that you are now. Unification and transformation is pretty much how you had grown from all these learnings to finding your gift, your solution, your promise. And then the road back is where you synchronized, filtered all the learnings and come to this final stage. And this is the hero's journey. This is the journey that we already are known, accustomed to when we watch like Hollywood films. But if I distill this down into like the 5 steps, it's about identity, the inciting incident, the thing that started this whole thing, the struggles that you had to go through, the discoveries, and then the results. Now, if you go to the next slide, don't worry about taking this down. All right, I came up with a navigational framework to map it across and using language for entrepreneurs to be able to very easily adapt and understand it. So you'll be able to get the slides later on. But today we're just going to look at environment, the gift, which is your goals, the intentions, the feedback, the journey, the tension that you have to go through. And from now on, we'll just call this the gift. This is you. And the journey. And the journey is understandably the baseline, which is like the standards of tolerance, where's the base, the very, very lowest level of tolerance, and of course, your benchmark, where you would like to reach. Understanding this is going to give you a good push-pull effect. Now, I'm going to go into push-pull later on, but what I wanted to like highlight over here is that we are not alone, right? You are telling your story to a community because you're trying to influence them. If you go into the next slide, Ariel. As we filter down how we're going to explain this to people to understand, it's really community first, which is your environment. That's your premise. Hero, which is you, and your goals, which is your journey, which is separated into your goals and your obstacles along the way. This is your crusade, guys. I want to stop here for a while, and I want to talk about the tribe. Your tribe, according to Seth Godin, is just basically, this is who we are, and this is what we do. And this is really, really very important for you to understand, because if you try to target everybody, you're targeting nobody. So if you understand who your tribe is and just try to get your story in front of them, they will resonate with you, they will hear you, and they will follow. You're not trying to create a brand. You're just revealing a movement. And you're saying, I found a solution, guys. Come on a journey with me. All right? Now, with the story architecture of this community, which is your environment, this community that you're trying to capture the attention from, I want you to start thinking about the story architecture, which is the universal truths. Now, how are you going to pave or frame or craft your story is also with like universal truths that you can find in that people understand straight away, like good against evil, you know, the bro films, loving connection, the purpose-driven quest, and so on and so forth. Now, if you can zone in to see where you can actually derive this from, I think it makes half the journey a lot easier, right? Now, earlier on, I love how Vickie actually said, do I need to actually create these stories with my own authentic stories? Now, I usually have a whole library of stories so that I can use the story to help to articulate and resonate and help to people to connect with the main point that I'm trying to say. I'll give you an example later on. However, if you don't have a story that resonates with that point, you can always use case studies, right, Vickie? And Peggy, you also know that you have a lot of experience with other people, coaching other people. So once you get a good story to explain something, you can use these case studies as the stories as well. So it doesn't have to be your own, all right? Now moving on to hero, you have to be somebody that we know, like, and trust. Now move on to the next slide and I'll show you how. So, see, this is not the right one. Okay. So ultimately, it's about, well, making noise, your own noise amongst a noisy marketplace. But just like what Vickie said earlier on, don't get caught up into technicals. It doesn't have to be as difficult as it seems. Move on to the next slide, please. Oh, this isn't the slide. The design is, you don't have my, okay guys, I'm so sorry. The design is a little bit off because Ariel doesn't have my fonts in her computer, but just bear with me. The content is what we're looking at, all right? So when we want to talk about copy, I want to talk about the words that we use. These are the words of what we're actually trying to give to the audience to, well, help to design or describe what we're doing. Your persona can be actually like filtered down, synthesized into like 2 or 3 words to describe you. A good example would be like, what do you think of when you talk about Kobe Bryant? He's ambitious, he's got strength, he's he's a leader. You've got all these really good words to describe him. And that's really broad. Now, that's a good brand. But the fewer words you have, the better your brand identity. Let's put it in the perspective of, what do you think about when we talk about Gandhi? I don't know about you, but I think about peace.
right? Everything about him is about peace. What about Einstein? He's genius, right? He's the epitome of genius. His brand, his personal brand is very, very strong. So if you start thinking about all the stuff that you embody and all the stuff that you would like to be represented by. And then you think of yourself like 3 years later down the road, what is your legacy language that you want to create? And that can be your strength. But I'm also here to tell you that a really, really strong character is not just about strength, but it's also about your vulnerabilities. Because strengths can, in some way, create that leadership quality. And we always talk about like what we've achieved because we're achievers. I mean, we're in a room full of achievers right now. You won't be an achiever if you're not here, right? You're trying to better yourself. So what is this 1 or 2 words that you can use to describe what you're trying to do? How you want people to perceive you? And then how are you going to match that with 1 or 2 words about your weaknesses? And how are you going to spin that around? For myself, I've got Story Block Explorer, right? Story Block Explorer. That's a mouthful. So it's not a very good one. I'm still working on it, as you can tell. Story Block Explorer. I explore stories and I try to use the building blocks to help people find their way. But at the same time, it came from writer's block. A lot of times along my journey, as I'm still learning and growing, I came across a lot of story blocks. And I use this pun to help bring my story across. So what is this 1 or 2 words that you can come up with to help people better describe you? So earlier on, Vickie also talked about herself and how she's an introverted extrovert. And I found that very interesting because it's like, how can you have 2 together? But at the same time, when she explained it further, it's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? It really exhausts you, but at the same time, you love to be in the presence of you. And she doesn't mind putting herself out there and taking this video with this street performer, dancing away. And I thought that was quite amazing. But what can yours be? All right. I want you to start thinking about that. Now, I know that you all have your vision mission written down. How can you synthesize that and make that really, really, short and succinct to bring across the idea so that your audience can use these words to better describe you? Next, please. Now, needless to say, that was 30%, right? That's accessing your prefrontal cortex to help people to identify and recognize you. But I want to talk about your premise. That's your 70%. This world that you're folding your audience into. How do you want them to feel and know that you're the one that has the solution that they need, this brand universe? Now, filmmaking, the brand builder or the world builder creates this one line, this one premise, and everything else has to follow that line. This is done by the constraints and the essence and your elements that Vickie was bringing across earlier on. And then your tribe. Now, this is important here because your tribe is basically your community. This tribe also has a role in playing out, building your culture. It's not you. You're not creating the culture. Your community reveals the culture to you. That's why it's a dialogue. Now, the only way that this can happen is if you can harness that feeling that you want them to go through. All right, and this is 70%. This accesses your limbic system, the feeling system. I'm going to show you how. All right, next one, please. This frequency has a push-pull effect. Now, I want you to go through this little experiment with me, okay? Just bear with me. I know that everybody's like turning the lights off, but those of you that are still here, do me a favor and close your eyes. All right, now close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Give me 3 deep breaths. All right. Now I want you to access your memory and think of somebody that's really close to you, that you love, you have a great connection with. It can be a spouse, can be a child, can be a great friend. Think of a situation where you're having this great moment that you remember. It could be like a laugh, uncontrollable laugh. You shared a joke. Look at that person and feel that emotion. Paint that emotion. Now add a color. Any color, doesn't matter. Now amplify it. Make it bigger, bolder, larger. Now this is your brand emotion. This is this person's brand frequency. Now every time you see this person, if you feel this is a strong, clear frequency. That is the frequency, the emotion that you get from a person. Now think about your own frequency with your product, your service. What is that peak experience that you want your audience to feel, or you know that they're going through as they're experiencing your product or service? What color does it have? What texture? Now think of a word to describe this. Now think of an adjective to make it more real. Is it clarity? Is it brightness? Is it energy? The second word gives it texture, gives it a character. All right, come back. So the more times you experience this peak experience feeling that you have with your product or your brand, the clearer the frequency will be. Now you want your audience to feel this frequency across every access point with your brand. It can be in your website, it can be in your copy, it can be, mine is about clarity. It's about highlighting things that I want people to notice. I use this green highlighter color, right? What's yours? Codify it, right? Code it into every aspect of your brand. Try to find a way to deliver it before they even come into contact with your brand. I don't own a GoPro, for example, but I know that GoPro equals adrenaline. GoPro, adrenaline, GoPro, adrenaline, GoPro, adrenaline. And before you know it, adrenaline gives you GoPro. What you're doing is you're creating this connection, mental connection, this neural link in your mind. And all that is branding and how you bring across the visceral feeling of your story through emotion. That's what storytelling is all about. How you're going to move somebody, how you're going to connect with somebody. And then they'll understand where the story comes from and how it relates to your facts and benefits, or how it links back to what you're trying to say about your brand. All right. Go back, please.
Chrissie, can I just jump in? I think
yes.
It's very good, all the emotions, but I just want to see whether you can maybe get more. Can we ask the participants some input on maybe? I mean, I can understand the story is always about a conflict, that resolution. There's the hero, and I love the structure. Might be a bit challenging because we are online. Maybe just take a pause here and maybe get some responses from the participants, like what are the stories, can we just do something?
Okay, just give me 2 minutes, bear with me for 2 minutes, and go back to the last slide, and I'll talk about the trigger to get it, make it really real. Okay, and then we'll open it up. Can we do that? I'm gonna open up my chats. Okay, so now what we're talking about is the push. All right, now you know what's the pull. I want to solidify this emotion with a push. Now I want you to start thinking about the triggers that associate with the pain that you had in your story. All right, now this is all going to come back. I know this is a bit weird, but this is going to come back full circle, I promise. All right, in the next few slides. What is the push? What is the emotion that makes people aggravated? What is that pain that you are having this painkiller for, this solution for? this trigger state, right? For Mac is, well, every time I use a PC, I get this color wheel of death and I go like, oh, I wish I had my Mac with me, right? So it just makes things easier. What is your emotion, this opposite emotion to that heightened go for emotion, your brand frequency? What is the opposite trigger emotion, which is the trigger that you can associate with your solution? All right, now that's all I have to say. Is there any questions at this point in time? No? Do you want me to carry on?
Is there something that we can engage and like put it into a, because it's a lot of very good stuff, and I think it's even I'm trying to understand the huge
theory
content
of it, right?
yeah. Can we like maybe give an example where we can all talk about our story, like yeah, and maybe you can watch the video again. We need to like probably go into the
have
one
an
deeper,
interaction. Okay,
correct.
So first of all, let me just show you how you can actually like implement all of this so that it ties back full circle. All right, go forward, go forward, go forward. Okay, so let go backwards. Let's talk about your superhero analysis. Okay, so this is you. I want to talk about you as your character. You have to have this 3B qualities. Now, you're full of wants and desires and needs. Now, you need to be okay with showing your vulnerabilities, because that's what makes you relatable. In storytelling, that's what makes you real. Okay, now, in the story of the 3X structure, in this hero's journey, it's all about how you came across this inciting incident that started you off on this journey. Now go to the next slide, please. That was my family, and that was also a picture of us in a car, and we were going to this this show. Now the backstory is that my son had been having the skin condition, and he really wanted to go with his friends, so he didn't dare to leave the house at that point in time. And if you can see, he's lost his eyebrows, he's still under recovery, and the whole family just rallied together, and we decided to all dress up as Spider-Man so that we can all hide our skin. And we all turned up. It was really fun. So that kind of made it all worthwhile. So this is the gift, right? This is the superpower. This is how we're talking about our vulnerabilities, the flaws. This is how we actually bring the story forward. The backstory is who you are. It's what built the brand. It's what made that possible. Now this gives you a low. This is your benchmark. And that's going to show how the story progresses. If I don't know where you came from, where you get to doesn't really have much of a contrast frame. The inciting incident is that change in your life, that it really started to matter, that push factor. Because more often than not, we would just sit in discomfort if it really didn't have much of an influence, right? We want to sit in our comfort zone, and we really wouldn't want to move forward. So that inciting incident will give people a relevant idea or story behind why this is important to you, which will make it important to them. Now, after that, you've got your self-doubt, and this is going to make you sound human. And then when you go through the resurrection and you show what stories actually come about from it and how you found your gift through your vulnerabilities, through your flaws, through your struggles, this makes people bond with your story, and it gives people the language to share with the community. So you move forward, the next slide. The inciting incident for me was that I also went through the skin condition in 2017. And that's why I knew that it was important for me to make things comfortable around him, because I knew what he must have been feeling, the physical traits, what makes a person, the character 3D is his physical traits. What are the passions that you are actually building forward, the strength and vulnerabilities of what you're going through or went through to get to where you are. This is called the delta. Remember contrast frame, how low you started with to the level that where you've reached shows the growth. And that is the inspiring bit of your story. All right. You go into the next slide. Go into your goal. What is your crusade? What is the gift that you're having, your solution that you're bringing to the world? What is the problem that you're solving? This fallacy, this bullshit rule that you're breaking, right? And when you want to talk about your gift statement, it's like, put it in this form. We envision a world where the fallacy that you're solving, this problem that you're breaking, has been replaced with a better way. Now, what is this better way? Now, I'd like to pause right here and I want to ask everybody to think about how you can fit your gift, which is your solution and your goals, into this statement.
I think this is a good,
like
good juncture for all of us to try. I know it's a bit heavy, even I'm trying to follow through. It's a lot of content. But let's take a pause. And no, I think there's a lot of good language, but it's difficult to fully comprehend online. I can imagine in a closer setting. So maybe let's all try to kind of like, I'm going to try here and write down what's my gift. What is it I want to solve in the world? And basically, am I breaking some rules or am I going against the norms? And then the statement that we're going to write is actually a bit like what Vickie is saying, what your message. Maybe we'll try that. Yeah, Chrissie, give them some time to just
try
put it up.
this. This statement over here, write your gift statement on this last line. Try to phrase it in this way. Makes it really, really clear. What is your crusade? Let's give you one more minute, right? And of course, if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and just fire away. I know it's pretty heavy, but it's going to come full circle. Don't worry. All right. Thank you, Peggy. the bold one that has taken on the challenge to continue.
Actually,
So,
to be honest, it's quite tough. You know, I'm just trying to. This is
yeah, I
something
know.
not
Don't worry,
truly
don't worry.
not may not be the only thing I want to talk about. Yeah,
No,
but
no, don't worry. Yeah,
yeah,
this actually comes in just at like the footnote. This is actually the toughest part. This is how you actually like frame everything that you want to say about your brand into one line, which is very difficult. So,
yeah,
but
framing the
let's
brand into a story. It's. I think that's a big step that we need to kind of overcome. I'm not sure whether
no, of
is there
course.
someone else who can like to share what is this thing? I'm going to be very naughty here, Mona. What is your gift? Oh, Shiyong has got it. Well, okay, Mona, what's your gift? Come on. What's your gift? I know you are caring, compassion, caring, and what is your gift? What is the problem? It's actually like your brand, but telling a story. There's a huge gap. But let's do this together. Yeah, come on.
Even through what Vickie was, you know, in the last session and now, one phrase I wrote down was that life is not binary, and I feel that, you know, that through conversation, through interaction, through collaboration, it's what I find in the world, you know, what's going on in the world today is that there's this kind of black and white, but I don't believe life is like that. And so what this should be replaced with is conversation and collaboration and interaction and compassion and empathy and discussion. So and really properly listening to each other. So this kind of notion, and as I was going through, you know, we were going through the last exercise with Vickie about our value system and who we are and what we define ourselves as. A lot of the definition comes from your experience, right? And so and creates kind of the career you develop as well, and how you handle challenges. And so that, you know, my experience has been that it's through the listening and it's through the interaction, and not just, you know, talking at walls or because otherwise life wouldn't be interesting, right? I mean, what the hell's the point if you're just kind of plodding through life? But I think the beauty of life is through our connections with people. It's through understanding each other. It's through kind of working through together the challenges that each community faces, whether it's work, whether it's your family, whether it's you know, a new country that you're living in or something. So I think for me, when I read this phrase, we envision a world where it's perceived as being binary, has been replaced with listening to one another, reaching out, and collaboration. I mean, it's as simple as that, I think.
No, I think that you're spot on. You are spot on. You are so beautiful in the way that you have actually, like, you know, codified that. You codified it into something that's really tangible, right? I mean, at the end of the day, what in sync with what Peggy is putting out there as well is like, right now there is a fear that, you know, all this Gen AI and all these things that are coming up, they're going to take away our jobs. But you see, that's where I think that this is all wrong, right? That's the function. That's functionality. See, Gen AI makes all this medium jobs, you know, function really easy to do. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't have the relation, it doesn't have the vitality, it doesn't have the human, the spirit of how we can actually link story together, right? Facts and benefits and how all these things happen, it just doesn't connect. What connects is the human emotion. And what brings the human emotion up faster is, well, three things: music, stories, and charity. But the fourth thing as well, which is really, really important, the thing that brings people together the fastest is sports, because it's active. And that's why this is actually really, really simple to help codify. Right. Oh, go on to the next slide. I think that was really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that was spot on, right? How we can bring that human factor together into something that's very unifying with sports, right? Now, bringing this better way, what is your solution, your gift to the world, right? And that really is bringing people from an old state to a new state. God. And that promise is your delivery. The promise right in between, that is actually what you're trying to get people to, encourage people to do, right? So how are you going to deliver this point of view? First, you have to be specific with your audience. Then you got to bring on that tone of voice. You got to choose what tone are you going to be speaking through. And you choose that one emotion that you want them to feel, right? Go to the next slide, please.
Chrissy, can I suggest, because we are a bit running out of time, maybe can we just zoom in on one or two of the final takeaways? And then do you want to do a video? I think the rest we can give it to the... Yeah.
Don't worry. It comes around full circle. Just let me finish off, not this one, but the next one. I wish I had more control of the slides themselves so I can like move past them, but because this is like, you know, remote, it's a little bit slower. So if you just bear with me for like another 5 more minutes, because I also started a bit late. Just let me try to bring this all around, okay? So how do you actually bring this back down to story? You got to bring out your premise. You got to talk about your tone of voice, which is your brand frequency. You got to talk about the character, which is you, your hero, self, the idealized self, and the villain, the trigger. You got to talk about the goals, which is actually the gift, the solution. You got to talk about the struggles that you went through to make you human. Okay, bring it to the next slide. So now I've got the templates, right? These are different ways that you can actually like start talking about yourself. This is called the valley system. It starts high, bring it down to the delta, which is your low, and then you end it back up on the high again. Now, this is a very, very simple way of bringing across your struggle. So right down here, you can see it's a template. Hi, my name is, and this is my personal brand description. This is your 2-word, code of how you can describe yourself. And then you can start to talk about like where you are right now, right? Your accolades or your pre-frame. But you don't have to stop there. Then you talk about how this really wasn't the case all along. Back then, I was, struggling. I was stuck and I couldn't get out of these things. And I was just living in a day after day of frustration, overwhelm. But I found a way to overcome these problems. And you talk about how you overcame them and what you found and bring it back up to your high again. And this is where I am right now. So if you go on to the next one, this is a very simple strategy. The contrast frame is how we then bring in the 3X structure. First, we have an introduction of who you are. This is my brand description. This is who I am. This is what I do. And then after that, you go into the conflict. But it wasn't this way all along. For a duration of time, like maybe for the last 12 years, I was stuck in this space where it was really just a struggle of just running through this rabbit wheel. And then describe how you overcame that problem to find your solution. And then now I am here right now. And this is also a pitch. So right here, you can also then do a call to action. What do you want them to do? So if you actually need to find, if you want to live a life that is free from this mental stuckness, then, reach out. So you can also use this in Facebook or LinkedIn. And then the next one, which is the assumption challenge. And this one is used primarily on like much shorter platforms like social media, right? Where you start with the hook, right? This is the hook, the pain that they are going through. So the deeper you drive that delta, you get them to acknowledge and feel that, painkiller, essentially, because the deeper you touch them with exactly where they are struggling with that trigger, then the higher you can bring them up on your resolution, your solution. right? This is also a way that you can name your enemy. This is another way that the common enemy that we're against is going to be something so strong because it's tangible. Your vision, your mission, that's intangible, right? It's this idealized vision. But this trigger, this enemy, this common enemy that we're trying to resolve and find a painkiller for, if you can name it, you can get them into your promised land faster. So then you introduce yourself, you show your inciting incident, and then you show them some desired future that they can achieve. So this is actually how you can bring them into seeing how this can actually solve their problems in future. Okay, next problem. So how you're going to deliver your story is actually also about which platform you're going to be showing. All right, how you're going to codify and how you're going to show them and give them the techniques or the symbols. Go to the next slide. The signals and signs and signifiers are also how you're going to share your mission so that it gives them the language to share your mission, which is sharing your values, your vision. So for me, yeah, you can go to the next slide. This is my rebrand. The last one was really blockish. It was very strong. It's very masculine. And right now I'm going into a more softer, but I'm bringing in color of highlights and clarity. So for me, my idealized vision or frequency is about highlighting things that need to be said into a framework, like a guide, a map that people can follow. All right, next. Now, due to the shortness of time, you will get all these notes on frequency and signs and symbols with color, but you've already seen that in the visualization task that I put you through earlier on. So don't overthink it. Write it down. Think about what kind of photography that you're trying to bring into the vision of how you're trying to give them this language to share with the audience. Because when you start to think about it, there are two types of photography or cinematography. One is the concept based, which is objective based, which actually like targets your thinking, the prefrontal cortex, right? This idea of freedom of this bird flying out of a cage, it requires you to do some interpretation. But if you use emotional photography, it's subjective. And it helps you to bring the audience into the feeling faster. So you bypass all this thinking and go straight to your limbic system and you start thinking and feeling exactly what this accelerated peak experience and this frequency that you're trying to rebrand into your whole experience when people actually associate with you. Okay, next. So in conclusion, what we've gone through is actually that brand frequency is what your audience feels, right? The copy and the signals is what they use to share your story with the tribe, because you're not actually creating the culture, you're actually just revealing the culture for them. What you're not creating is not a brand, but you're actually creating a movement so that they can move with you. And once they take it up, think about it like a fax machine.
Yeah, I need that.
Once you actually like.
Thanks, Chrissie. I think actually there's so much no. Let's go to the last slide. The last slide is the most powerful actually. I know that people have to go off. The last slide.
Yeah. The summary.
Yeah.
The summary.
Slide before this.
Before that.
Conclusion. I think this is the most powerful slide. I want to thank Christie for the amazing content, but it's very challenging to deliver online. I don't think I can do it myself. But we're here as a community. So I think there could be more interactions, but it's tough because the content is really deep. So what we try to do now is we'll give you the deck. You don't have to worry. You can always connect back with Christie after you have read this before you sleep tonight. I will try. Right. But now what we do is we try to show you the video and see if it. I think I like the video. Errol, can you try? Yeah. Cannot. Yeah.
Share screen.
No, cannot. I won't say too much. It's a fantastic video telling the story of the tribes. I probably need to look at it a few more times. I see the many hearts there. So Chrissie, thank you so much. I think the content is wonderful, but I think it's challenging to do online.